Joining us now to talk about the vote and to explain why Republicans have objected is Indiana Senator Dan Coats. Senator, thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Tell us about this a vote that came together late on Thursday, essentially saying, no, for now, we're not going to vote to end the debate and put the Hagel nomination to an actual up or down vote. Why?
Well, we just wanted more time, but it had only been 2 days since the committee had reported it out. There's still a number of key answers that have not been given to us by the administration, and there's real concern about why the president made this choice. It was an embarrassing performance on the confirmation process, and Chuck Hagel, for this position, just does not seem to be the right person based on his performance and based on his policy positions in the past. So we just wanted a little time to examine this in a little more detail, and we're waiting for some answers.
You've indicated that one of your primary concerns is his position on Iran. Explain.
The Iranians have been pursuing achieving nuclear weapon capability for several years now. We've tried diplomacy, sanctions. None of this has worked. Senator Hagel's positions on this issue have been very favorable toward the Iranian position and not the U.S. position. And in fact, the confusion that he had during the confirmation hearing over what our policy was, it wasn't even in coordination with what the White House policy. So he's just out of touch there or uninformed. And that was just one of many embarrassing things that came out of that confirmation hearing, which is why we want more time to process this.
I know you've done a lot of work on the specific topic of Iran and its nuclear program. I want to get your reaction to this week. The supreme leader there, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, said this week essentially they don't want nuclear weapons, but even if they did want to weaponize what they do have, that no power, including the U.S., could stop them at this point. Your reaction?
Well, I think we ought to take that statement very seriously. No one could stop them at this point. We've been dillying and dallying over this for nearly a decade. Sanctions, as I said, and diplomacy has not changed the leaders' minds in Iran. This is a serious situation that has serious consequences not only for the Middle East, but also for the rest of the world. The last 4 presidents of the United States, 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats, have basically said it is unacceptable to allow Iran to attain nuclear weapon capability. And that portends a very serious series of consequences if we stand by and stand back and let them get away with this.
Back to the overall nomination and eventual vote that we expect will be within the next week or two on the nomination of former Senator Chuck Hagel. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid says what you've done so far in blocking his vote is just more GOP obstructionism, that you're ratcheting up the partisanship in Washington, and that the GOP is playing games with us.
Well, that's classic Harry Reid. He says that about everything that comes up, that when we do something that he doesn't like. If we agreed with everything Harry Reid wanted to do, I suppose he might be happy. Nevertheless, this is a serious situation when you're talking about a Secretary of Defense. This is not just some ordinary cabinet position. This is probably the most important choice a president can make. And I think he's made a choice that even Democrats are scratching their heads, and I think they were embarrassed also about this performance, unacceptable performance of Chuck Hagel before the Armed Services Committee. And so I think it deserves at least a little time to continue to look at what his position is and is going to be and what kind of leadership he can provide or can't provide. I don't know what the Democrats will do ultimately, whether they'll circle the wagons and support the president, but I do know many of them have real concerns over whether this was a good choice.
And we'll see if they go public with those. Senator Dan Coats, thank you for your time today, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Well, Pakistani officials are calling a deadly bombing in a